Un momento, por favor. Give me 1 second. I gotta go back into the admin. There we go. Marco? Hello? We back.
With me. They are all undecided voters. Each one of you is registered differently. We have Lynn Kelleher, who's a registered Republican and a realtor here in town. We have Hannah Reed, an independent, a mom of 3. And then we have Andrew Wallace, who's registered Democrat and owns this place, by the way, the owner of the restaurant. What's interesting, though, is you all cannot decide. And Lynn, you told us that you find Trump, I forget your word, reprehensible. You really don't like the guy.
Super stinky.
Harris, you said that you don't understand what she stands for. She needs to explain. What are you looking for tonight?
For me, the election is a decision between economics and morals. I like some of Trump's economic policies.
Yeah.
I find him...
Like what?
I abhor him.
He's a whore?
Because of his morals or lack thereof. But she, I think, is talking a lot of fluff. She hasn't said anything substantive. I don't know that she has the experience or the wherewithal to lead this country out of the economic situation that we're in.
I'm going to note, all 3 of you voted for Trump in 2016 and then changed in 2020. Hannah, let me go to you. You said you're...
Oh, they're all Trump voters, too.
...going into this debate. Why?
Because the election itself is no longer about policies. It's no longer about the real issues in this country, like
She's cooking.
The economics or the inflation.
She's cooking.
You don't like the name calling.
The name calling, I mean...
It is way less about 2020 was way more about policy before Biden won.
Who can get one over on the other
before
to the
Biden
point
won.
that we are not pushing policies through just because the person that put it through was from another party.
And Andrew, let me ask you about your issues.
Is she talking about the immigration bill?
You like some of the things. You're really big on policies that Trump supports, and then you're also really big on policies that Harris supports. You don't know what you're going to do. So what do you need to hear tonight?
I feel left behind by the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party. Harris received 0 votes. I would have liked to have a say in the primary, and they didn't give me that. I feel that they think that they know what's best for me. Harris hasn't said anything. Harris's policies, a lot of them have just been stolen from Trump. Taxes on tips, putting up a border wall. She's said absolutely nothing of her own with her own ideas. So I'm waiting to see anything from her that is a real idea.
This is just a Trump supporter.
All right, guys,
this guy's just a Trump supporter.
Together, and Savannah Lester, we will certainly report back on sort of what the reactions are here in the room. It's an instant.
Sure.
Important voices to hear. Kate, thanks very much. Let me bring in 2 experts at debate.
Actually, Kamala Harris has the same exact policy platform as Donald Trump. Was not what I was expecting to hear, but all right. Okay, median Pennsylvania voter. Very interesting. Where can I? We're going to zoom real quick.
It does on the immigration, the economy, and
I just wanted to be able to watch.
What I'll be looking for, guys, tonight, who can.
I just wanted to be able to watch that undecided voter panel.
Back to you.
All right, Tom, thanks very much. Our Washington correspondent, Yamiche Alcindor, has been covering the Harris campaign.
The dogs are okay.
Now, Yamiche, your thoughts tonight.
JD needs to go to the doctor. Who needs allergy meds, but
one of the biggest challenges for Vice President Harris, I've been talking to a lot of sources that are familiar with her debate preparations, are how she's going to differentiate herself from President Biden. Former President Trump is going to try to make her own every single mistake that he believes President Biden made, and there's been a lot of tension among the Harris team about whether or not she should throw President Biden, under the brush figuratively and say, I disagreed with some of the policies, maybe even the withdrawal from Afghanistan.
I think it's good. I think it's perfectly fine to be like, I disagree with some policies.
And I agreed with everything that he did, but she has to, in some ways, really carve out what a Harris administration is going to look like and why it's not going to just be a third term of the Biden administration or the second term of the Biden.
The reason why I think it's perfectly fine for her to say that she disagrees with some of the policy is because if some people don't remember this, but Biden, and she can play off of Biden, what he said years ago. He said that he put Kamala Harris, actually not too long ago when he was still in the race, he said that he put Kamala Harris on the ticket specifically because she disagreed with him on certain issues. He wanted her to be able to provide another opinion to him while he was in office. So I think it's perfectly fine for her to say, like, I disagree with some policies. It's why he put her on the ticket. Like, she could just reference that, and it works perfectly. It's perfect. It's fine. She can just say, I disagree. That's okay. She can say he's a good president. I think he did a good job. Generally, I disagree on this, and this, because he put me on the ticket to disagree with some things. And I still do to this very day. I learn things. I disagree with some things. I change my opinion on some things, and I'm who I am now.
Do two things tonight.
But here, chat, enjoy this. Enjoy White Woman. I'm gonna go pee. I'll be right back.
President Biden, make her own what's going on with the economy, what's going on with immigration, and number two, remind voters some of the positions she took back in 2020 when she was running for president that were left of center. Try to paint her as simply too liberal for those moderate swing voters in places like the suburbs of Philadelphia. Of course, that is the plan. That is what the campaign wants. But it's all going to be about the execution in the moment, especially if Harris tries to bait the former president into an outburst. Savannah.
All right, Dasha, thank you.
Let's bring back Kristen Welker and Hallie Jackson. I want to talk about how the vice president has cast herself in this campaign as the prosecutor, going against Donald Trump. Are there limits to that in this format, do you think, of coming off in a prosecutorial way?
Absolutely. When I've spoken to allies who are close to her, they say her biggest challenge tonight is getting specific, but not too specific. She's got to tell the story of how a Harris administration would differ from a Biden administration. That word we keep using, change. How would she change things right now? Does she acknowledge to some extent that the economy is not where she wants it to be, and really lay out in more detail what she wants to see? Yes, she's going to prosecute the case against Donald Trump on a range of different issues. She'll accuse him of switching his opinion, particularly when it comes to the issue of abortion and reproductive rights. But again, she's got to walk that fine line.
Yeah, but she also has to answer for some changes in her own positions. Of course, she ran for president in 2020. She came across and positioned herself as a much more progressive type of candidate. Now she's really moving to the middle here in a general election.
Crowded primary, right? Back in 2019, 2020, she has moved away from that on issues like, for example, mandated gun buybacks for automatic rifles, something that she no longer supports. Fracking, for example, something that she has changed her position on as well. You look at Medicare for all, a position that she's backed away from. Watch for the former president to try to go after some of these issues. And I'll tell you, to bring it back to the voters, that panel with Kate Snow is super interesting. The economy came up again and again. And even though this summer, for the first time, inflation dipped below 3% for the first time since March of 2021, people don't feel great about it right now. So how does Vice President Harris address that moving forward?
And let me briefly go there and talk about his physical performance. It's been noted by many that the former president has tended to be more rambling, disjointed in many of his entries at a time that...
Can you imagine if he comes out slurring? It would be actually over.
He's now, of course, the older candidate now.
Okay, we will be back with you at the top of the hour now, 9 o'clock on the East Coast here in New York and in Philadelphia. About to happen.
First
and perhaps last presidential debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump.
As we've noted, this will be the first time these candidates have met in person, and it's happening on a debate stage. Also, the first debate since President Biden left the race over the summer and Harris became the Democratic nominee. A lot has happened in a very compressed period of time.
Yes, it has. And we have a few moments until the debate starts. We will join it. ABC News is broadcasting it, but we will simulcast it right here in its entirety. It's taking
I think there's a 40% chance he says the N-word,
Center in Philadelphia.
And
all right, chat.
Debate, there will be no audience tonight. The candidates'
microphones
will be muted while the other one is talking. Each candidate will get 2 minutes for answers. There will be closing statements, but no opening statements. So we expect
no opening statements, really.
We mix it up rather early in this as they stake out their positions, and we get a sense of where all this is going.
And the mics are muted when the other is talking. So let's take you to Philadelphia now, and the first presidential debate.
They can mute, yes. By default, the mics are muted when the other person's talking.
Presidential debate. We want to welcome viewers watching on ABC and
one in chat if scared, two in chat if excited. You can do both.
Donald Trump are just moments away from taking the stage in this unprecedented race for president.
And I'm Lindsay Davis. Tonight's meeting could be the most consequential event of their campaigns, with Election Day now less.
They're filling Trump up with downers to keep him in line.
Kamala Harris
backstage.
This is her first debate since President Biden withdrew from the race on July 21st. Of course, that decision followed his debate against President Donald Trump in June. Since then, this race has taken on an entirely new dynamic.
And that brings us to the rules of tonight's debate. 90 minutes with 2 commercial breaks. No topics or questions have been shared with the campaigns. The candidates will have 2 minutes to answer questions, and this is the clock. That's what they'll be seeing. 2 minutes for rebuttals and 1 minute for follow-ups, clarifications, or responses. Their microphones will only be turned on when it's their turn to speak. No
really short time to talk.
There is no audience here tonight in this hall at the National Constitution Center. This is an intimate setting for 2 candidates who have never met.
President Trump won the coin toss. He chose to deliver the final closing statement of the evening. Vice President Harris selected the podium to the right.
So let's now welcome the candidates to the stage. Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump.
Oh, here we go.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Nice to see you. Have fun.
Thank you.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
It's an honor to have you both here tonight.
Good evening. We are looking forward to a spirited and thoughtful debate.
So let's get started. I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their issue, and that is the economy and the cost of living in this country. Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid, and I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing, and the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we've
policy out already is good.
So that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20%
saying he's going to balloon the deficit
on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that.
It is a sales tax.
We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because there was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental
insane asylums
and insane asylums.
Is Hannibal Lecter
coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions will be affected very soon.
Those black jobs.
And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout.
He's really just saying buzzwords.
You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado.
No, he's
taking over.
Really?
They're taking
he's
over
bringing up
buildings.
the Haitians eating cats already.
These are the people that she and Biden led into our country. They're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality.
What? You see his eyes like shut.
We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies.
Like his right eye is like kind of shut.
I'll do it again and even better.
We are going to get to immigration and border security during this debate, but I would like to let Vice President Harris respond on the economy here.
Well, I would love to. Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess. What we have done and what I intend to do is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But
it's actually pretty good.
In this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies, grievances.
But he has a new playbook.
What you're going to hear
Project 2025
is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again. I believe very strongly that the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us, and I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump will give you a minute here to respond.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This is a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas. I guess some good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing.
He said he agreed with some of them.
I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do.
I'm an open book.
Taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before. We had the greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic, and the pandemic was not since 1917, where 100 million people died, has there been anything like it. We did a phenomenal job with the pandemic. We handed them over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it was before the pandemic came in. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We made ventilators for the entire world. We got gowns, we got masks, we did things that nobody thought possible. And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce back jobs. These were jobs bounce back, and it bounced back and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
He created the bounce back jobs?
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase.
She's throwing up the Biden laureates.
By the middle of next year would invite.
I think that line should be dropped.
You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
It's just a soundbite. They gave her that to say. Look, I went to the Wharton School of Finance, and many of those professors, the top professors, think my plan is a brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to make people want to be able to go and work and
wait, please ask him, what is it?
Good, solid money for our country. Just to finish off,
stuttering.
She doesn't have a plan. She copied Biden's plan, and it's like 4 sentences, like run, spot, run. 4 sentences.
What?
Just, oh, we'll try and lower taxes. She doesn't have a plan. Take a look at her plan. She doesn't have a plan.
Mr. President, I do want to drill down on something you both brought up.
Thank you so much for the 5.
Vice President brought up your tariffs. You
run, spot, run?
Let's drill down on this, because your plan is what she calls is essentially a national sales tax. Your proposal calls for tariffs, as you pointed out here, on foreign imports across the world.
He's going to get cooked
Recently
with this.
said that you might double your plan, imposing tariffs up to 20% on goods coming into this country. As you know, many...
I think Kamala's doing really well so far.
Tariffs at that level, costs are then passed on to the consumer.
Hard hour clock,
President Harris
10 seconds to midnight.
Higher prices on gas, food, clothing, medication, arguing it costs the typical family nearly $4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have, and who's going to have higher prices, is China and all of the countries that have been ripping
He can't even China like he used to.
I was the only president ever. China was paying us hundreds of billions of dollars, and so were other countries. And, you know, if she doesn't like them, they should have gone out and they should have immediately cut the tariffs. But those tariffs are there 3.5 years now under their administration. We are going to take in billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars. I had no inflation, virtually no inflation. They had the highest inflation perhaps in the history of our country, because I've never seen a worse period of time. People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else. The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even...
He's bringing up polls?
That the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Vice President Harris, I do want to ask for your response, and you heard what the president said there, because the Biden administration did keep a number of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America. He invited trade wars. You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is, under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military. Basically, sold us out, when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st
This hits crazy.
Which means focusing on the details of what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies, focusing on investing in
this debate prep is insane,
so that we win the race on AI, on
quantum
computing, focusing on what we need to do to support America's workforce, so that we don't end up having on the short end of the stick in terms of workers' rights. But what Donald Trump did, let's talk about this, with COVID, is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. "Thank you, President Xi!" exclamation point. When we know that Xi was responsible for lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins of COVID.
President Trump, I'll let you respond.
Oh my Lord! These hits are insane, and some of them are from the right, and some of them aren't that bad. Well, all of them aren't that bad.
Like they have, and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything.
I'm really glad finally that people are like bringing up how Trump is ass on the economy.
She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy, but if she ever got elected,
she's like Trump but hotter.
And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say.
The split screen's hilarious, I can't lie.
21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals.
Insane asylums.
And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later.
Hannibal Lecter.
Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
President Trump, thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often
told it's over.
Kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that
they hit the abortion early.
To be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you
and then he flip-flops
with regard to your 6-week abortion ban, because you initially had said that it was too short, and you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia.
In the 17th month.
Governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, is doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution.
What is happening?
Because the baby is born is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years. They've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for...
She should really ask what's a Marxist.
I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions.
Only talking about Republicans.
But we were able to get it, and
she can hit him on that.
States are voting on it, and for the first time, you're going to see, look, this is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. And now, Ohio, the vote was somewhat liberal. Kansas, the vote was somewhat liberal, much more liberal than people would have thought.
Every time they vote, they disagree with me.
Voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it. And the Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans.
She's really strong here.
Even for rape and incest, which understand what that means. A survivor of a crime of violation to their body does not have the right.
This is early and she's flexing.
What happens to their body next? That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that.
Painting an image is crazy.
A 12 or 13-year-old
really good.
Survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term. They don't want that. And I pledge to you, When Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will
the national ban,
national abortion ban.
The contrast.
In his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor.
She's hitting all the buttons.
Your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American people believe that certain freedoms, in particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
Thank you, Vice President.
She's cooking. This is everything that I wanted from her, actually.
And there's no reason to sign a ban because we've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states. And the states are voting. And it makes
it's like Christmas.
But for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart, and they've wanted it back in the states. And
also, I didn't mention it earlier, but Trump gaffed. Okay, remember how he said West Virginia, the West Virginia governor? He's actually talking about the Virginia governor before Youngkin. Actually, that like quote, like we'll figure out what the baby, like what to do with the baby afterwards. He was talking specifically about babies with life-threatening deformities. And actually, he completely messed up the types of governors.
The vote, especially now with the 50-50, essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of? When they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said,
Bro spent all his time at the golf course.
A different way. He went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea. And how unfair that would have been. Part of the reason they lost to the millions and millions
is because of his justices, actually.
Student loans. They didn't get it for free. But they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D. And I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think it was I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student loans. They didn't even come close to getting student loans.
We don't even have to talk about policy.
Young people.
Don't talk about it.
Other people that had loans. They can never get this approved. So it doesn't matter what she says about going to Congress. So wonderful. Let's go to Congress. Do it. But the fact is that for years they wanted to get it out of Congress and out of the federal government. And we did something that everybody said.
We don't even talk about it.
You have a vote of the people on abortion.
Vice President Harris, want to give you your time to respond, but I do want to ask.
Oh, she's going to obliterate him.
Any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as you rightly mentioned, nowhere in America is a woman carrying a pregnancy to term and asking for an abortion. That is not happening. It's insulting to the women of America. And understand what has been happening under Donald Trump's abortion bans. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. What is happening in our country? Working people, working women who are working 1 or 2 jobs, who can barely afford childcare as it is, have to travel to another
He's rolling his eyes
to get on a plane, sitting
at people at abortion, dude. It's
to
over.
Go and get the health care she needs. Barely can afford to do it, and what you are putting her through is unconscionable. And the people of America have not, the majority of Americans believe in a woman's right to make decisions about her own body, and that is why in every state where this issue has been on the ballot, in red and blue states both, the people of America have voted for freedom.
Vice President Harris,
excuse me, I have to respond.
And then bring up freedom.
Another lie. It's another lie. I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization.
I'm a leader on
the IVF. I have been a leader.
You just found that out.
When they got a very negative decision on IVF from the Alabama courts, I saw the people of Alabama and the legislature 2 days later voted it in. I've been a leader on it. They know that, and everybody else knows it.
What?
I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing...
Please don't say you're a leader on fertilizing.
You should ask. Will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that question?
Why don't you answer
That's
the
problem.
question? Would you
because
veto?
Under Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question. Would you veto?
You could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th
That's
month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look at the
Probably after birth
of Virginia. The governor. Of
No, those are
Virginia
called
said,
school
"We put
shootings,
the
and you
baby
support
aside,
those."
And then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump, thank you.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border security. We know
What's kind of insane, chat, is that she made it through the economy section, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. And that was like her weakest. Her second weakest is now.
Causes of migration from Central America. We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
So that's a nasty framing.
On this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill?
I think trans people can be national if they want.
Called up some folks in Congress and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need.
There are good answers for Trump. Let's see if he hits them.
Who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I'll tell you something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your
She's hitting them on Twitter clapbacks.
And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to
is he going to get baited?
Successfully so that would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border?
First, let me respond as to the rallies.
Oh, of course.
People start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People
he's actually triggered.
Rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is lost. We're a failing nation, and it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here? You're going to end up in World War III. Just to go into another.
Oh my gosh.
What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it.
I don't think people even know what they're talking about.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening.
Can you imagine being someone's grandma listening to this?
As far as The rallies are concerned.
Eating their cats.
The reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring.
And he's back on the rallies.
They want to make America great again. It's very simple phrase. Make America great again. She
actually triggered him. It worked.
And if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success.
He can't help himself.
Venezuela on steroids.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say,
he's reeling.
The people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that.
Grandpa, it's time to go to bed.
For a city manager.
I'm not taking this.
Dude, I saw them on TV.
The dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond to what you've heard.
You talk about extreme. This is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans who have formally worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John McCain, including the endorsement of former Vice President Dick Cheney and Congress member Liz Cheney. And if you want to really know the inside track on who
not the bald spot flash.
If you didn't make it clear already, just ask people who have worked with him. His former chief of staff, a 4-star general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former national security advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former Secretary of Defense has said the nation, the Republic, would never survive another Trump term. And when we listen to this kind of rhetoric, when the issues that affect the American people are not being addressed, I think the choice is clear in this election.
The president, the guy who wants to be president, is talking about like how he saw stuff on TV, and that's his policy.
I hear that. See, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people whose were just killed, viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family.
This is actually a decent answer.
They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So when somebody does a bad job, I fire him. And you take a guy like Esper. He was no good. I fired him. So he writes a book. Another one writes a book. Because with me, they can write books. With nobody else can they. But they
can't write
such
books.
a poor job, and they never fire anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the
Why didn't they fire Mr. Inflation?
That's a good way not to have books written about you. But just to finish, I got more votes than any Republican in history by far. In fact, I got more votes than any president, sitting president in history by far.
Except for Joe Biden.
Let me continue on immigration. It was what you wanted.
Oh, wait, he had to say sitting president.
So let's get back to your deportation proposal that the vice president has reacted to as well. President Trump, you call this the largest domestic deportation operation in the history of our country. You say you would use the National Guard. You say if things get out of control, you'd have no problem using the U.S. military.
Police, yes.
You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us.
It's actually 50. Actually, 75% of the American population is an undocumented immigrant.
It is much higher.
And 80% of them are eating cats.
They allowed criminals, many millions of criminals.
Hannibal Lecter.
They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers to come into our country, and they're now
the Joker is in America.
And told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you. Do you know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down? You know why?
Ooh,
because they've taken
he's walking into a trap.
The street and they've given them to her to put into our country. And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history for them to allow. And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it. because they're
that's great replacement, just so you know,
of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed
He's Nazi posting
of our country. Millions of people let in, and all over the world, crime is down. All over the world, except here. Crime here is up and through the roof.
He's so angry.
Fraudulent statements that they made. Crime in this country is through the roof, and we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime, and it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime
actually
is
really
coming
mad
down in this country. But Vice
Excuse
President,
me, the FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud, just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
President Trump, thank you. I'll let you respond, Vice President Harris.
There's so many frauds.
This is so rich, coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes.
He's actually really mad.
Crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing. And let's be clear where each person stands on the issue of
I don't think we've ever seen him so mad.
Respect for the rule of law and respect for law enforcement. The former vice president called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do about the housing shortage, which I have a plan for, address what we must do to support our small businesses, address bringing down the price of groceries. But frankly, the American people are exhausted with this same old tired playbook.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
Excuse me.
He's quivering.
Those cases was started by them against their political opponent, and I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them, but those are cases. It's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases.
I've never done anything wrong.
With the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis to the Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York, every one of those cases, and then they say, oh, he's a criminal. They're the ones that made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden was found essentially guilty on the documents case. And what happened in my documents case? They said, oh, that's the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was
the difference is when they asked Biden to give the bills, Biden to give the papers back, he did. Trump ran away.
Fake cases.
President Trump, thank you. A really quick response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department.
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place. The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. Someone who has openly expressed disdain for members of our military. Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails, because certainly we know now the court won't stop him. We know J.D. Vance is not going to stop him. It's up to the American people.
He's doing more of the puckered lip face.
Thank you. Lindsay?
He's like looking up.
Harris,
he's like shaking.
For president.
Weaponized, please. This is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of
bullet to the head.
That they say about me.
That was AI generated.
Democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a fake Russia investigation that went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president, you said you wanted to ban fracking. Now you don't. You wanted mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons. Now your campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. changed. So then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States, and in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases for fracking.
Giga cringe.
My position is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot over-rely on foreign oil. As it relates to my values, let me tell you, I grew up a middle-class kid raised by a hardworking mother who worked and saved and was able to buy our first home when I was a teenager. The values I bring to the importance of home ownership.
I think if you support fracking, you should be forced to drink 1 cup of frack water
on a silver platter and then
before you're able to vote again.
Is a value that I bring to my work to say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to increase 3 million homes, increase by 3 million homes
Make the
by the
government
end of
do
my
it.
first term. My work that is related to having a friend when I was in high school who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. And my focus then on protecting women and children from violent crime is based on a value that is deeply grounded in the importance of standing up for those who are most vulnerable. My work that is about protecting Social Security and Medicare is based on long-standing work that I have done, protecting seniors from scams. My values have not changed. And what is important is that there is a president who actually brings values and a perspective that is about lifting people up and not beating people down and name-calling. The true measure of the leader is the leader who actually understands the strength is not in beating people down, it's in lifting people up. I intend to be that president.
President Trump, your
first of all, I wasn't.
She should do a little bit more fact-checking.
I wish I was. My father was a Brooklyn builder, Brooklyn, Queens, and a great father, and I learned a lot from him. But I was given a fraction of that, a tiny fraction, and I built it.
Small loan of $1 million.
Many billions of dollars, many, many billions. And when people see it, they are even surprised. So we don't have to talk about that.
I'm rich, very rich, super rich.
For 12 years.
More rich than her dead mom.
Defund the police. She's been against that forever. She gave all that stuff up very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please.
Wait, he's trying to do the I'm talking?
Don't lie.
She went out.
Oh, he's mad.
And wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis. She went out and raised money to get them out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal that would do this. She wants to confiscate your guns.
They're transing the migrants?
Fracking in Pennsylvania. If she won the election, fracking in Pennsylvania will end on day one. Just to finish one thing so important in my opinion. So I got the oil business going like nobody has ever done before.
They're transing the aliens.
When they took over, they got rid of it, started getting rid of it, and the prices were going up the roof. They immediately let these guys go to where they were. I would have been 5 times, 4 times, 5 times higher because you're talking about 3.5 years ago. They got it up to where I was because they had no choice because the prices of energy were quadrupling and doubling. You saw what happened to gasoline. So they said, let's go back to Trump. But if she won the election, the day after that election, they'll go back to destroying our country and oil will be dead, fossil fuel will be dead, we'll go back to windmills and we'll go back to solar. Windmills? Need a whole desert to get some energy to come out of it. You ever see a solar plant? By the way, I'm a big fan of solar, but they take
Why'd you shit on it then?
400, 500 acres of desert soil.
Trump, we have a
These
lot
are
of
not good
issues
things
that we
for the
have to get
environment,
to.
as she
We're out of time.
understands.
Thank you.
Lindsay, thank you. We have an election in just 56 days. And I want to talk about
she should have been able to respond to that
power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy and the role of a president
fucking desert
in a
soil.
moment of crisis. Mr. President, on January 6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out at the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television.
I don't think all of that answer was too bad.
You did send out tweets, but it was
he got some decent hits on
there. Out that
honestly.
video message telling your supporters to go home.
But I don't think he's come out with a win on any of this
about
yet.
what you did on that day.
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically, I said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically. And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer.
A cop was killed.
That should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace.
She was crawling into
this group of people
the chamber?
have been treated so badly. I ask, what about all the people that are pouring into our country and killing people that she allowed to pour in? She was the border czar. Remember that. She was the border czar.
He brought this up late,
Be called
honestly.
the border czar because she's embarrassed by the border. In fact, she said at the beginning, "Oh, I'm surprised you're not talking about the border yet." That's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those people? What are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people from countries all over the world, not just South America? They're coming in from all over the world, David.
Insane asylums.
And crime rates are down all over the world because of it.
But let me just
when are those, David, when are those people going to be prosecuted? When are the people that burned down Minneapolis going to be prosecuted? Or in Seattle? They went into Seattle. They took over a big percentage of the city of Seattle. When are those
Remember, he was the president then.
But let me just ask you.
You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes, sir.
I had nothing to do with that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech.
They asked me to make a speech?
I went to Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of
Who put it on then?
And the mayor put it back in writing, as you know.
I don't know. There was just some event, and I just gave a speech.
This is going to be a very big rally, or whatever you want to call it. And again, it wasn't done by me. It was done by others. I said, I'd like to give you 10,000 National Guard or soldiers. They rejected me. Nancy Pelosi rejected me. It was just 2 weeks ago. Her daughter has a tape of her saying she is fully responsible for what happened. They want to get rid of that tape. It would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington did their jobs. I wasn't responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible.
The president wasn't responsible for security?
About you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi. But I do want Vice President Harris to respond here.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th. I was the vice president-elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there. And on that day, the President of the United States incited a violent mob to attack our nation's capital, to desecrate our nation's capital. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. And understand, the former president has been indicted and impeached for exactly that reason. But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville. There was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. Let's remember that when it came to the Proud Boys on the militia,
the greatest hits.
The former president said, stand back and stand by.
Oh, the greatest hits.
So for everyone watching who remembers what January 6th was, I say we don't have to go back. Let's not go back. We're not going back. It's time to turn the page. And if that was a bridge too far for you, well, there is a place in our campaign for you to stand for country, to stand for our democracy, to stand for rule of law, and to end the chaos, and to end the approach that is about attacking the foundations of our democracy.
I think it's kind of good not to talk about the COVID riots and everything.
Donald Trump,
he was the president. She doesn't have to answer for anything.
In this election, there will be a bloodbath. if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking. Let's turn the page on this. Let's not go back. Let's chart a course for the future and not go backwards to the past.
Let me just follow up here.
It was a different term, and it was a term that related to energy because they have destroyed our energy business. That was where bloodbath was. Also, on Charlottesville, that story has been, as you would say, debunked. Laura, Sean Hannity, Jesse, all of these people.
Everyone on Fox News says I'm right.
The sentence, they will see it was perfect. It was debunked in almost every newspaper, but they still bring it up, just like they bring 2025 up.
I watch Fox News. They told me I'm right. They told me I'm cool.
You talk about the Capitol. Why are we allowing these millions of people to come through on the southern border? How come she's not doing anything? And I'll tell you what I would do, and I would be very proud to do it. I would say we would both leave this debate right now. I'd like to see her go down to Washington, D.C. during this debate because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down to...
This debate is a waste of time.
It's so ridiculous.
He's laying the groundwork to not do another debate.
And let her sign a bill to close up the border because they have
sign a bill. She's not the president?
They need bills. They have the right to do it. The president of the United States, you'll get him out of bed. You'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You'll say, come on down to the office. Let's sign a bill. If he signs a bill that the border is closed.
He thinks he's still running against Biden.
The Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that, the border is closed. Those people are killing many people, unlike J6.
We talked immigration here tonight. I do want to focus
they have a cute
on
nickname
this next
for
issue,
it.
both of you, because it really brings us this into focus, truth in these times that we're living in. Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past,
chat, conservatives are right now, they're like, actually, this debate is terrible, and nobody really wants to watch this. Oh, it's over.
Short.
I said that.
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
Oh my God. Does the political class really believe normies want to listen to this? Oh, they can't even listen to it.
Sarcastically. Look,
sarcastic.
There's so much proof.
It's
All
over.
you have to do is look at it, and they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever gotten. I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten.
This is not good. This is
people
bad.
Should never be thinking about an election as fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls. And we have to have it. We have to have borders, and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I did watch all of
Yeah, that's not.
video.
That's great replacement. That's white.
Whisker. We didn't quite make it.
It's supremacy.
Just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them Republican.
No judge looked at it.
And said
they said we didn't have standing. That's the other thing. They said we didn't have standing.
Wow, he's still litigating 2020.
Where a person in an
I thought he would give it up.
Doesn't have standing. The president of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost. If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you'll do a special on it. I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania.
Just find me 12,000 more
We have
votes.
so many facts and statistics, but you know what? That doesn't matter because we have to solve the problem that we have right now. That's old news. And the problem that we have right now is we have a nation in decline, and they have put it into decline. We have a nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you. Vice President Harris, you heard the president there tonight. He said he didn't say that he lost by a whisker, so he still believes he did not lose the election. That was won.
Kamala's actually doing 9/11.
And yourself. But I do want to ask you about something that's come up in the last couple of days. This was a post from President Trump about this upcoming election just weeks away. He said, when I win, those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly,
You're fired.
he's having a very difficult time processing that.
But she's using his catchphrase.
To have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as vice president.
I told you guys, she cooked
and
Pence.
World leaders are
People said it was the fly. It wasn't the fly. She summoned the fly.
Military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did, in fact, lose that election, it leads one to believe
they're already spinning.
That perhaps we
CNN flash poll will say 80% Kamala won. They're spinning. They're already spinning.
Or the ability
it's
to
over.
not be confused about
it's done.
That's deeply troubling, and the American people deserve better.
I'll give you 1 minute to respond, Mr. President.
Let me just say about world leaders. Viktor Orban, one of the most respected men.
And he brings up a
man. He's a tough.
He brings up an authoritarian.
Smart. Prime Minister of Hungary. They said, why is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago it wasn't. Why is it blowing up? He said, because
the world's blowing up.
Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. China was afraid, and I don't like to use the word afraid, but I'm just quoting him. China was afraid of him. North Korea was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way. He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline. The XL pipeline in our country, he ended that. But he let the Russians build a pipeline going all over Europe and heading into Germany, the biggest pipeline in the world. Look, Viktor Orban said it. He said the most respected, most feared person is Donald Trump. We had no problems when Trump was president. But when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate.
He's not running against Biden anymore.
If he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy. He got 14 million
they're
votes
complaining.
And they threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He
had to hop on my ult.
He can't stand her. But
Mr.
he
President.
got 14 million votes. They threw him out. She got 0 votes. And when she ran, she was the first one to leave because she failed. And now
Ben
she's
Shapiro's
running.
already spinning.
I don't understand it, but
Mr.
I'm
President,
okay with it
Mr.
because
President, your time is
I think
up.
we're going to do very well.
We've got a lot more to get to.
John Doyle gave up.
Israel-Hamas war and the hostages who are still being held Americans.
Matt Walsh is blaming the moderators.
Vice President Harris, in December, you said, quote, Israel has a right to defend itself, but you added, quote, it matters how, saying international humanitarian law must be respected. Israel must do more to protect innocent civilians. You said that 9 months ago. Now an estimated 40,000 Palestinians are dead. Nearly 100 hostages remain. Just last week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said there's not a deal in the
Our third weakest.
President Biden has not been able to break through the stalemate. How would you do it?
Well, let's understand how we got here. On October 7, Hamas, a terrorist.
Actually, how we got here was supporting Israel in not allowing a two-state solution, and also keeping Donald Trump's policy when it comes to moving our embassy to Jerusalem instead of in Tel Aviv, because Joe Biden wants the final solution for Palestinians.
And how it does so matters, because it is also true far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed, children, mothers. What we know is that this war must end. It must end immediately, and the way it will end is we need a ceasefire deal and we need the hostages out. And so we will continue to work around the clock on that.
Matt Walsh notices Trump's baited.
Understanding that we must chart a course for a two-state solution. And in that solution, there must be security for the Israeli people and Israel, and in equal measure for the Palestinians. But the one thing I will assure you always, I will always give Israel the ability
technically
to
not answering the
itself,
question,
in particular as it relates to Iran and any threat that Iran and its proxies pose to Israel. But we must have a two-state solution where we can rebuild Gaza, where the Palestinians have security, self-determination, and and the dignity they so rightly deserve.
President Trump, how would you negotiate?
Technically didn't answer the question.
And also Hamas in order to get the hostages
kill them all
and prevent the killing of more innocent civilians in Gaza?
If I were president,
he does not
it
care.
would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very well, he would have never, and there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people when you add it up, far worse than people understand what's going on over there. But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech.
I mean, you didn't go either.
She was at a sorority party of hers. She wanted to go to the sorority party. She hates Israel. If she's president, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been preaching predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about that one. She hates Israel. At the same time, in her own way, she hates the Arab population because
she hates everyone.
The whole place is going to get blown up. Arabs, Jewish people, Israel will be gone.
He didn't mention Christians either.
Never happened. Iran was broke under Donald Trump. Now Iran has $300 billion.
So apparently Israel and Palestine will be gone.
Iran had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the 20 different spheres of terror, and they are spheres of terror, horrible terror. They had no money. It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually. They had no money for terror. They were broke. Now they're a rich nation, and now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around. Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and
is she going to be like my husband is Jewish?
And the Israeli people. He knows that. He's trying to, again, divide and distract from the reality, which is it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself. It is well known that he said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant. It is well known he exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-un, and it is absolutely well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear they can manipulate you with flattery and favors. And that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace. That is why we understand that we have to have a president who is not consistently weak and wrong on national security, including the importance of
they're noticing their guy is dumb as fuck.
In highest regard our military.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
They're noticing he's dumb as fuck.
And she's the one
they're noticing
that's weak on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year 100
every time Trump takes the bait, he's a fish.
People into our country, their crime rates are way down.
Crime rates
endorsed her last week, said I hope she wins, and I think he meant it. Because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me. The leaders of other countries think that they're weak and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly incompetent. And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approve the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world going to Germany and all over Europe? Because they're weak and they're ineffective. And Biden, by the way, gets paid a lot of money.
Thank you. We have a lot of issues to get to.
Is he trying to?
With much more
Biden is paid by
ABC
Russia.
News presidential debate from the National Constitution Center right here in Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
Chat, he's getting cooked. And the fact that I didn't talk about it, but like that little thing where Kamala Harris walked over to his podium to shake his hand, and that was the first time they met. She walked over to his podium. She was behind his podium shaking his hand at the beginning because he didn't want to walk over to her. Oh no, Chris Rufo, remember the guy who basically controls the conservative operation for their right-wing spins and their what like the culture war, like the CRT, that trans stuff. This guy, even Chris Rufo, is like, Kamala is clearing the bar. She's doing what she needs to do. Trump needs to shake up the dynamic. Dude, they're noticing. They're the noticer. They're noticing. Oh no. They're like, wait a second. Guys, wait a second. Wait, Kamala Harris is actually doing pretty good. Wait, but you guys told me that Kamala Harris didn't know how to talk. Guys, I'm in a group chat with my normie friends. They're saying Kamala Harris is bodying him. Guys, friends, they're posting screenshots of Donald Trump's face. They say he's old. Guys, wait a chat. Oh, Polymarket. Kamala Harris is about to take the lead in Polymarket while they're watching the debate. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, it's not going too well. No, it's not looking up for the boy. What the hell is happening? Oh, here we go. Dementia Dawn at it again. Oh, Dementia Dawn is getting crushed. Holy crap. Oh my gosh. Okay, chat. One in chat. If we're gonna spin back on it. One in chat if you're excited. Two in chat if you're scared. After this, after what we've seen so far. They said Kamala lost the momentum. She hopped on the debate stage and she grabbed it right back. Oh no, dude! They're conspiracy posting. Yeah, he's baited like a child. You know this guy? This is the guy who posted CP on this is the guy who posted CP on Twitter that got banned and Elon let back on. He's like, ABC is much nicer than I expected. They must know something that we don't. The transition of power is imminent. Oh, they're conspiracy posting. What the fuck? Yes, they're biased, but they're much nicer than I expected. They're ranked as the most biased mainstream media. And you have to understand, I expect the absolute worst, and it's not that. Oh, they know something is happening. Oh, he's like, they know. Oh, they know. Oh, no. He did what? You can check out our video on it. It's titled "The Worst Thing Elon Musk Has Ever Done" on the YouTube channel. It goes over how Elon Musk obliterated the child safety board at Twitter HQ, allowing pedophilia to run rampant on Twitter, and making it so that actual CP videos of children getting brutally abused stay up on Twitter, getting likes, and people are downloading it. That people can put that in like a folder of bookmarks of CP on Twitter, because he has no team specifically dedicated to making sure that stuff gets taken off. There was a recorded instance where this girl's abuse was able to stay on Twitter for weeks after they reported it. Yeah, it's bad. King Jar Jar, thank you so much for the tier 4. Thank you so much.
How it could shake
thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Day. For now, though, let's go back to the debate.
Favorite emotes out. AOC said he sounded like
national constitution.
AOC said he sounded like he sounded like a guy yelling at random people on 34th Street with a karaoke speaker. Oh, no.
You hear, and I want to turn to the war in Ukraine. We're now 2.5 years into this conflict. Mr. President, it has been the position of the Biden administration that we must defend Ukraine from Russia, from Vladimir Putin, to defend their sovereignty, their democracy, that it's in America's best interest to do so, arguing that if Putin wins, he may be emboldened to move even further into other countries.
Michael, thanks for the gifted.
Solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more.
Oh, do they tell him to calm down?
They don't ask Europe, which is
he's ramping up.
A bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions.
He's doing amazing except for Israel. Yeah.
Of dollars when I said either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But you take a look at what's happening. We're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize.
What's he talking about?
Said, I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a
he called him a criminal,
and they respect your president. Okay, they respect me. They don't respect
That's Biden. Actually,
how would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin. Hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even.
The split screen's insane.
If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact,
he'll talk to them, and they'll just stop fighting.
Unfortunately, left because our country has gone to hell. But after I left, when I saw him building up soldiers, he did it after I left. I said, oh. He must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have.
That's proof that he had no clue. Oh, troops on the border. Oh, good negotiation.
Don't kid yourself, David. We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know if he's. Where is our president? We don't even know.
He's probably at the White House.
Just to clarify
they
here.
threw him out of a campaign like a dog. We don't even know.
Like a dog.
President? But we have a president,
Mr. President,
that doesn't know he's alive.
Your time is up. Just to clarify the question.
Okay.
Do you believe it's in the U.S. best interest for Ukraine to win this war, yes or no?
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done.
All right.
Negotiate a deal, because we have to
he's
stop
spitting
all
everywhere
of these
now.
Human lives from being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President Harris. I want to get your thoughts on support for Ukraine in this moment, but also as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me.
Oh, no.
I believe the reason
Twitter's
Donald
greatest
Trump
hits
says
against
that
him, and
this
it's
war
working.
Would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries.
It's all the best talking points, but she's actually using them.
Rules and norms, which is the importance of
is this what it feels like when Dems want to win?
And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine.
It might be even worse than the Project 2025 agenda.
NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up?
Oh, she knew that stat off the top of her head.
And what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Vice President Harris, thank you. We've heard from both of you on Ukraine tonight. Afghanistan.
They prepared for everything.
I wanted her to respond to something you said earlier, and now, please, I'll give you a minute here.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women.
I'm gonna make sure that Russians are gonna be okay.
He would have been sitting in Moscow, much happier than he is right now. But eventually, you know, he's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons. Nobody ever thinks about that. And eventually, maybe he'll use them, and maybe he hasn't been that threatening. But he does have that, something we don't even like to talk about. Nobody likes to talk about it. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate
the N-word. He has the N-word.
3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator.
Horrible.
They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said it at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fella. And that is another one.
This little fella.
When I went
not him, not her little bro in him.
5 times. The reality is it has been about standing as America always should. As a leader upholding international rules and norms.
Waffling again, little bro.
Who shows strength, understanding that the alliances we have around the world are dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies because you adore strong men instead of caring about democracy. And that is very much what is at stake here. The President of the United States is Commander-in-Chief. And the American people have a right to rely on a president who understands the significance of America's role and responsibility in terms of ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and not sell them for the benefit of personal flattery.
We've talked about Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. I do want to.
All conservatives I'm seeing have is that this woman is so annoying. She's such a bitch.
Said Trump
Men are going to vote for Trump because she's such a bitch.
He got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen. He's the head of NATO. He said, I've never seen. For years, we were paying almost all of NATO. We were being ripped off by European nations, both on trade and on NATO. I got them to pay up by saying one of the statements you made before, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you. Otherwise, we would have never gotten it. He said it was one of the most incredible jobs that he's ever seen done.
Thank you. I want to turn to Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of the debate, and we witnessed a poignant moment today on Capitol Hill, honoring the soldiers who died in the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. I do want to ask the Vice President, do you believe you bear any responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision.
Oh, this is difficult.
Out of Afghanistan. 4 presidents said they would, and Joe Biden did. And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century. But let's understand how we got to where we are.
Well,
when he was president,
he did send fighter jets to go defend Israel.
You can imagine. He calls himself
and we're in active war.
Even his national security advisor said it was a weak, terrible deal. And here's how it went down. He bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban. The negotiation involved the Taliban getting 5,000 Taliban terrorists
Look at his
released. And get this, and the president at the time invited the Taliban to Camp David, a place of storied significance for us as Americans, a place where we honor the importance of American diplomacy, where we invite and receive respected world leaders. And this former president, ex-president, invited them
to hold her tongue.
Camp David.
Is his nose running?
Does not again appreciate the role and responsibility of the President of the United States to be Commander-in-Chief with a level of respect. And this gets back to the point of how he has consistently disparaged and demeaned members of our military, fallen soldiers, and the work that we must do to uphold the strength and the respect of the United States of America around the world.
Vice President,
oh, they're already blaming him.
You began the negotiations.
Already blaming someone.
So, if you take a look at that period of time, the Taliban was killing.
It's good that
soldiers,
she made him have to answer about the Taliban
snipers. And I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the fighting force within Afghanistan. They don't bother doing that because, you know, they deal with the wrong people all the time. But I got involved. And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban.
Abdul al-Shaid, is that right?
Abdul, don't do it anymore. You do it anymore, you're going to have problems.
Hey, Abdul, stop the killing.
Send me a picture of my house. I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul. And for 18 months, we had nobody killed. We did have an agreement negotiated by Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, we were getting out. We would have been out faster than them, but we wouldn't have lost the.
Show me a picture of my house.
We wouldn't have left many Americans behind, and we wouldn't have left $85 billion worth of brand new, beautiful military equipment behind. And just to finish, they blew it. The agreement said you have to do this, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. The agreement was terminated by us because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I want to move on.
And these people did the worst withdrawal, and in my opinion, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And by the way, that's why Russia attacked Ukraine, because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump, thank you. I want to move on now to race and politics in this country.
Oh,
Mr. President, you recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black.
Oh, no.
And now she wants to be known as black. I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight.
N-word clock.
Why do you believe it's
1 second to midnight
win on the racial identity of your opponent?
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care.
Bro, he pulled up on the Jumbotron.
I couldn't care less.
Her being Indian and not black.
Wants to be is okay with me.
At his rallies.
Words, so
I don't know. I mean, all I can say
don't know my words.
Where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then
I didn't know my words. I don't know what I said.
And that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
Vice President Harris, your thoughts on this?
They begged him to drop it. He couldn't.
I think it's, I mean, honestly, I think it's a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people. You know, I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was land, he owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families. Let's remember, this is the same individual who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 young black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5.
Bring up Epstein. That's all. That's
execution. This is the same individual.
Bring up Epstein, please.
Spread birther lies about the President of the United States.
Finally, someone says it.
And I think the American people want better than that. want better than this. Want someone who understands, as I do, I travel our country. We see in each other a friend. We see in each other a neighbor. We don't want a leader who is constantly trying to have Americans point their fingers at each other.
What can I say?
I meet with people all the time who tell me, can
this
we
debate
please
prep
just
is
have
godlike.
discourse about how we're going to invest in the aspirations and the ambitions and the dreams.
Your fucking Gen Z TikTok
knowing that
marketing group was crazy.
Color or the language their grandmother speaks, we all have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who invests in those, not in hate and division.
Vice President Harris, thank you. Lindsay?
President Trump, this is now your third time.
And he didn't get a response.
This is the most divisive presidency in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it.
Everything is the worst thing ever.
And they come up with things like what she just said.
Black.
Going back many, many years, when a lot of people, including Mayor Bloomberg, agreed with me on the Central Park Five, they admitted.
Oh, the stop and frisk guy?
Guilty. And I said, well, if
he's relitigating Central Park 5.
A person killed a person ultimately, and if they pled guilty, then they pled, we're not guilty. But this is a person that has to stretch back years, 40, 50 years ago, because there's nothing now. I built one of the greatest economies.
I'm not racist anymore.
And I'm going to build it again. It's going to be bigger, better, and stronger. But they're destroying our economy. They have no idea what a good economy is. Their oil policies, every single policy. And remember this. She is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says. She is Biden. The worst inflation we've ever had. A horrible economy because inflation has made it so bad.
I will bring down the inflation for black.
I want to respond to that, though. I want to just respond briefly.
Oh, here we go.
Clearly, I am not Joe Biden, and I am certainly not Donald Trump. And what I do offer is a new generation of leadership for our country. One who believes in what is possible, one who brings a sense of optimism.
That's a slide about him being old.
Instead of always disparaging the American people. I believe in what we can do to strengthen our small businesses, which is why I have a plan. Let's talk about our plans and let's compare the plans. I have a plan to give startup businesses $50,000 tax deduction, to pursue their ambitions, their innovation, their ideas, their hard work. I have a plan, $6,000 for young families for the first year of your child's life.
Oh, she stole that shit from Elizabeth Warren.
Stage of your child's development.
That I have a plan thing?
That is about allowing people to be able to pursue.
She's ripping her drip like crazy.
The American dream by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. That's the kind of conversation, I believe, David, that people really want tonight.
Oh,
as opposed to a conversation that is constantly about
cooking him and then telling him to move on.
And name calling. Let's turn the page.
Vice President
and move
Harris,
forward.
thank you. Let's turn to policy.
President Trump, we have to move on. President Trump.
Let's turn to policy,
please. She has a plan to defund the police. She has a plan to confiscate everybody's gun.
President Trump,
she has a plan
everyone gun.
to allow fracking in Pennsylvania or anywhere else.
Okay,
that's what her plan is until just recently.
I just need to respond.
President Trump.
No, the
President
former
Trump.
president has said something twice that I need to respond to.
I'm sorry. We're going to move on, Vice President Harris.
I mean, she already went over this. She doesn't technically need to respond.
Running for president, you have long vowed to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare.
Oh, Trump Care doesn't exist?
You now say you're going to keep Obamacare, quote, unless we can do something much better. Correct. Last month, you said, quote, we're working on it.
So he tried to get rid of it when he didn't have something much better?
When you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
Obamacare was lousy health care, always was. It's not very good today. And what I said, that if we
Obamacare is not health care.
And we are working on things, we're going to do it and we're going to replace it. But Remember this. I inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had a much better plan than Obamacare. But the Democrats came up. They wouldn't vote for it. I had a choice to make when I was president. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be? Never going to be great. Or
he's like, I'm going to fix Obamacare?
And I felt I had an obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let it rot and let it go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people.
He thinks it's politically good to let Obamacare rot?
We read about the bad ones. We had some real bad ones, too, and so do they. They have really bad ones. The difference is they don't get rid of them. But let me just explain.
Oh, they're spinning like crazy.
I had a choice to make. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, or do I let it rot? And I saved it. I did the right thing. But it's still never going to be great, and it's too expensive for people. And what we will do is we'll look at different plans. If
we're looking
we
at
can
things.
come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population,
10 years and he still has no plan.
Better health care than Obamacare.
Guys, we're looking.
Absolutely do it.
We're trying to. We're looking for it right now.
As good as it can be run.
So, just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now.
9 years.
We come up with something. I would only change it if we come up with something that's better and less expensive.
Well, I'm trying to. I'm thinking about a plan.
We have to do that, and you'll be hearing about it in the not too distant future.
Dude, that's
Harris, in 2017.
That's going on an ad.
Proposal to do away with private insurance and create a
that's going on an ad.
Healthcare system. 2 years later, you proposed a plan that included a private insurance option. What is your plan today?
Well, first of all, I absolutely
this is a good
support,
question.
and over the last 4 years as vice president, private health care options. But what we need to do is maintain and grow the Affordable Care Act. But I'll get to that, Lindsay. I just need to respond to a previous point that the former president has made. I've made very clear my position on fracking. And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous line.
She's strapped right now?
As it relates to the Affordable Care Act,
she's going to do what crooks couldn't?
Just look at the history to know where people stand. When Donald Trump was president, 60 times he tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act.
Finally.
60 times. I was a senator.
Medicare and Medicaid. Do that too. He tried to cut it.
I'll never forget the early morning.
And every single one of his
it was up for
financial bills. He tried to cut it.
And the late, great John McCain, who you have disparaged as being, you don't like him, you said at the time, because he got caught. He was an American hero. The late, great John McCain, I will never forget that night, walked onto the Senate floor and said, no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't get rid of the Affordable Care Act. You have no plan. And what the Affordable Care Act has done is eliminate the ability of insurance companies to deny people with pre-existing conditions. I don't have to tell the people watching tonight, you remember what that was like? Remember when an insurance company could deny if a child had asthma, if someone was a breast cancer survivor, if a grandparent had diabetes? And thankfully, as I've been vice president and we over the last 4 years have strengthened the Affordable Care Act, we have allowed for the first time Medicare to negotiate drug prices on behalf of you, the American people. Donald Trump said he was going to allow Medicare to negotiate drug prices. He never did. We did. And now we have capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. Since I've been vice president, we have capped the cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000 a year. And when I am president, we will do that for all people, understanding that the value I bring to this is that access to health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. And the plan has to
stole that from Bernie
to strengthen the Affordable Care Act.
I didn't steal Bernie's plan.
Get rid of it.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
In terms of where Donald Trump stands on that.
I want to move to an issue that's important for a lot of...
She made a mistake. At number one, John McCain fought Obamacare for 10 years. But it wasn't only him. It were all of the Democrats that kept it going. And you know what?
They fought.
We can do much better than Obamacare. Much less money. But she won't.
But we can do way better than Obamacare. I know. I'm thinking about it right now.
That's another thing she doesn't want to get. People are paying.
I'm thinking about a plan.
For insurance that have worked hard and made money, and they want to have private. She wants everybody to be on government insurance, where you wait 6 months for an operation that you need immediately.
President Trump,
and then you die.
We have another issue that we'd like to get
and
to.
a migrant gets it
for a
first.
number of Americans, in particular younger voters, and that's climate change. President Trump, with regard to the environment, you say that we have to have clean air and clean water. Vice President Harris,
we have to have water, good water.
Existential threat. The question to you both tonight is, what would you do to fight climate change? And Vice President Harris, we'll start with you. 1 minute for you.
We're reaching the end, chat.
Well, the former president had said that climate change is a hoax. And what we know is that it is very real. You ask anyone who lives in a state who has experienced these extreme weather occurrences, who now is either being denied home insurance or it's being jacked up. You ask anybody who has been the victim of what that means in terms of losing their home, having nowhere to go. We know that we can actually deal with this issue. The young people of America care deeply about this issue. And I am proud that as vice president over the last 4 years, we have invested $1 trillion in a clean energy economy, while we have also increased domestic gas production to historic levels. We have created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs while I have been vice president. We have invested in clean energy to the point that we are opening up factories around the world. Donald Trump said he was going to create manufacturing jobs. He lost manufacturing jobs. And I'm also proud to have the endorsement of the United Auto Workers and Sean Fain, who also know that part of building a clean energy economy includes investing in American
fracking is horrible for the economy.
Products, American automobiles. It includes
and the environment.
Growing what we can do around American manufacturing and opening up auto plants, not closing them like happened under Donald Trump.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
That didn't happen under Donald Trump. Let me just tell you, they lost 10,000 manufacturing jobs this last month. It's going, they're all leaving. They're building big auto plants in Mexico, in many cases owned by China. They're building these massive plants, and they think they're going to sell their cars into the United States because of these people. What they have given to China is unbelievable. But we're not going to let that. We'll put tariffs on those cars so they can't come into our country, because they will kill the United Auto Workers and any auto worker, whether it's in Detroit or South Carolina or any other place. What they've done to business and manufacturing in this country is horrible. We have nothing because they refuse.
The IRA actually did a whole lot when it comes to revitalizing dying towns.
Millions of dollars. He's afraid.
They're not going to reward them,
between
but
him and his son, they get all
a lot of great things happen.
Ukraine.
What?
They get all this money from all of these different countries, and then
is he really bring up like Burisma?
So loyal to this one, that one, Ukraine, China. Why is he? Why did he get $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? Why did he get? Why did she pay him $3.5 million?
Oh, nah, Grandpa spinning on conspiracies.
Selling our country down the tubes.
President Trump, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with closing statements from both of our candidates. An historic night, this ABC News presidential debate from Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
He's cooked. He's cooked. He's cooked. He's done. He's finished. It's chat. This is a horrible performance by Donald Trump. The muted mic thing didn't even help him, honestly, because Kamala's team did really well with having that if somebody says something off screen, then the moderators have to let them let the audience know. So it's kind of muted, but also kind of not muted. Nah, dude. Nah, she's bashing him over the head. She's bashing him over the head. Like everything that you would, every single button, except for the Epstein one, they still need to hit that. But they can't because they keep loving Bill Clinton, who needs to be thrown under the bus too, if I'm gonna be honest. But outside of that, she's hitting literally she's hitting every point, like almost perfectly. I think Trump's gotten some good like hits in, like on Afghanistan. I think Kamala Harris had a good rebuttal, but like talking about the hit itself, the Afghanistan thing, that was a good hit. On some stuff with inflation, I think that was a decent. He got a good body blow in there, but just everything in general, Wow. This debate prep has been incredible. Incredible. This is really good. To have that on hand, the 800,000 Polish Americans in the United States, like, in Pennsylvania, where they were, her having that fact just off the top of her, like, just off the dome, and bringing that up. Like, when was the last time you heard Polish Americans be brought up in a debate? It's so random, but it's so random in such a good way. Like, she knows a lot about, like, the individual people that makes up the United States, right? And being like, how would you feel about, like, their like family's home being taken over by Russia, you know? Like a little call to action for them too, right? Like, wow, that is nasty. These are some really good hits she's getting in. And he adequately triggered him. She adequately triggered him. He was very triggered in several times. He's yelling. He's like, he isn't slurring as much as he was, but he's getting baited like crazy. Like, she brought up the rally thing, and he started with the rally, hit the question a little bit, but then remembered how angry he was that she said that, and then brought the rally thing back up again, where you honestly forget what he said in the middle. Do you remember what he said in the middle there about the rally, or do you just remember the fact that he got angry about the rally? I listen. He can't even. He's mispronouncing words all the time. He's yelling. He's spitting on the microphone. Whoa now, buddy. Whoa now, buddy. Obviously, and in the fact that these conservatives are having to start to spin this. Many of them are starting to spin. Many of them are starting to spin like crazy on this. Mike Croc, thank you so much for the 5. I really appreciate you for that. Is this hope? Is this hope? Is this real? It's all going to be good, chat. I don't know about that. But remember how I talked about earlier how Kamala Harris needs to slap Trump upside the head and get like some good slam dunks on him? She did that. Now, I don't know what people are going to say at the end of this. I don't know how well people are going to think she did. But I am going to tell you now that if we're talking about the like, because they both tried to take things from each other, right? So Trump tried to take the I'm speaking thing from her, and she hasn't done it at all. And it kind of feels like a Charlie Brown, like, taking away the football. Like, people expected that the reason why she wanted the mics to be unmuted was because she was looking for that moment, and then he tried to take it from her, right? And I think some people can think that's good, but on when it comes to like rhetoric standpoint, her being like, "You're fired. They fired you 3.5 years ago."
Vice President Harris, we begin with you.
That was nasty.
So I think you've heard tonight 2 very different visions for our country. One that is focused on the future, and the other that is focused on the past.
Is she going to do her stump speech?
And an attempt to take us backward. But we're not going back. And I do believe that the American people know we all have so much more in common than what separates us. And we can chart a new way forward. And a vision of that includes having a plan, understanding the aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is why I intend to create an opportunity economy, investing in small businesses, in new families, in what we can do around protecting seniors.
You should have really brought up paid family leave.
Giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living. I believe in what we can do together that is about sustaining America's standing in the world and ensuring that we have the respect that we so rightly deserve, including respecting our military and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world.
Please stop saying that.
I will be a president that will protect our fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. I'll tell you, I started my career as a private prosecutor. I was a DA. I was an attorney.
Is she gonna do it?
A United States senator, and now
Predators?
vice president. I've only had one client, the people. I'll tell you, as a prosecutor, I never asked a victim or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever asked them, are you okay? And that's the kind of president we need right now.
That's not bad.
Someone who cares about
That's a pretty good line.
and is not putting themselves first. I intend to be a president for all Americans and focus on what we can do over the next 10 and 20 years to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the American people.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump?
That's a good closing statement. Let's see what Trump's got.
By saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years.
She's the vice president.
3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right now, go down to that beautiful White House, go to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the things you want to do, but you haven't done it and you won't do it because you believe
this is the
American people don't believe
this is the stupid Twitter comment that gets like 30,000 likes that gets ratioed.
We're not going to take fossil fuel. We're not going to do
if she's the vice president, why doesn't she just fix America?
Whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world, they're laughing. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East.
He's talking about Joe Biden again.
With Russia and Ukraine, we're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan.
You literally invited the Taliban to America?
What these people have done to our country, and maybe toughest of all is allowing millions of people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country.
They're eating our cats.
President, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
President Trump, thank you. And that is our ABC News presidential debate
from
here in Philadelphia.
Man. All right, chat. So that was it. That was Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. Owarida. It might be Owarida. It might be. It very well might be. This was an incredibly good debate from Kamala Harris, and I don't think that I could have imagined her doing much better, in my personal opinion, specifically when it comes to answering, specifically when it comes to hitting back against Trump's talking points that we've been hearing for a while. Like Afghanistan and the border and inflation. She's saying things that like I've said here, right? Like getting away from this notion that Donald Trump was good on the economy. Like him spending $8 trillion in his administration on nothing, and pretending like that had nothing to do with the inflation that we see today. Specifically sinking bills. It was an ass bill. And it shouldn't have been passed because it gave Republicans everything that they wanted without the pathway to citizenship. It didn't even mention Dreamers. We just completely forget that Dreamers exist these days, right? Dreamers are now America's Palestinians. You ever think about that? But the talking points be talking. It's really good. The spins are really good. I think a lot of people are going to talk about how she didn't answer some questions, because she did not answer every question. She absolutely didn't. She politicianed her way through a decent amount of those questions, especially the one that I think people are going to bring up is the are Americans better now under 3.5 years, since Trump has been out of the White House and you guys have been in office. She didn't answer that question. I feel like she could have easily answered that question when it comes to like We were able to bring America after Donald Trump's failed leadership. We were able to bring America out of one of the worst pandemics the world has ever seen. And there's still more work to be done. But I think honestly, like when America's future isn't dictated by this crazy man, we are all as a nation better off than we were under Donald Trump's leadership. If I'm just going to be honest with you, I feel like she could say something like that, but then that could get into some litigation. So I can understand why she didn't. I'm just telling you that I can see why people are going to say she didn't answer some questions, because she absolutely didn't. She absolutely did not. And like on immigration, I think she did all right. Her bringing up the fact that she did like prosecute like gang members and everything, bring up fentanyl. Like he didn't bring up fentanyl at all, or drugs coming across the border. Now it's incredibly crazy because Donald Trump's hits on the border used to be about it used to be a whole lot about more like, you know, crime that you could see, drugs. Even they're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime. Now his like Fox News rotted brain, you know, it's like when you take a microphone, you put it up to a speaker, you get that, you know, that like sort of reverb. That's what happened in the like shakes of smoothed out Donald Trump's brain to the point where he no longer can think clearly. He's been consumed by his own conspiracy theories, and he can't even do they're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists. Now it's Hannibal Lecter. He'll eat you right after he eats your cat. And then he'll turn black and eat your cat. And I just can't see that resonating with people nearly as much as it used to back when he was running against Hillary. It just doesn't work like that. And I wish she would have said that every single year during his presidency, illegal immigration went up, which is true, actually. Even though he said he was like the anti-illegal immigration people, like person, like he failed in that regard. Every single year, illegal immigration went up under his watch. And now, obviously, it wasn't as bad, but I mean, you can bring that stuff up, and he got baited so horribly. He got baited so badly. The hooks. Can you imagine being in like Trump HQ? Like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is like coughing up worms, and Tulsi Gabbard is throwing darts at a dartboard with the like gay pride flag on it. And his like and everybody there is just seething. Like, no, Trump, we told you not to bite. Don't bite. No. Stop. Oh, she started dangling the hooks and he's a big mouth fish, and he bit every single time. He bit every time. He kept talking like he was running against Joe Biden. She hit him with the, oh, you're running against me, not Biden. You might be forgetting, old man. Oh my gosh. Oh, bringing up the Central Park 5. They're being investigated for not renting out to black people. Oh, talk about black jobs. He can't even give black people homes. Yo, dude, bringing the Taliban into Camp David. It was just Black Flash. Black Flash. At that moment, Kamala Harris reached 110% of her potential. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. It was back-to-back hits. It was back-to-back hits. She was about to break the Black Flash world record. She got in the zone. It was insane. It was wild. She really did well in this. This couldn't have been, I'm going to be honest with you, except for being evil when it comes to Palestinians and not laying out a better course when it comes to that. Like, at least talking about it better when it comes to the importance of a two-state solution. Like, I don't really think this could have gone better for her. I really don't think that there's much more that I could have said that she should have done that she didn't do. Besides bringing up the fact that he was best friends with Epstein. Like, God, chat. I had a little pit in my stomach today, honestly. I was like, man, here comes the debate. I was like counting down the time earlier today. I was like, I'm not sure how this is gonna go. I hope she does well, but God. Oh man, the hits just kept on coming. Tulsi, the fact that I knew that it was done. I knew that it was done when I saw those conservatives spinning on my alt, already trying to spin how bad this was for Trump on my alt. That's how I knew that he was cooked. The fact that he started rambling about, oh man, people are going to remember the fact that he started rambling about the migrants eating cats. Migrants eating cats in Springfield, Ohio. That's good. Flame broiled. She's tossing and stirring. She cooked him up. She buttered his ass and cooked him up. Sauteed. Perfect. Wow. And the conservatives, they're spinning so hard right now. They're like this is the name of the moderator. The moderator carrying Kamala Harris. They keep posting like Kamala. It's Donald Trump in a 1v3. The moderator's fighting Donald Trump. I'm so shocked that Kamala's entire strategy here is to appeal to women and emotion. Fuck women. God damn it, I hate women. Oh, if you love women, hit the like button on the stream right now. If you're a woman enjoyer, if you're a woman respecter, hit the like. If you're a woman yourself, hit the like button on the stream right now. Show us how much you appreciate women. I'm dating a woman right now, so if you don't like the stream, she'll be sad. You ever think about that? I can't believe Kamala Harris's strategy is just appealing to fucking femoids and emotion. She clearly knows every question and is well rehearsed in making every answer emotional. Oh my gosh. Not talking in weirdo political jargon and instead painting pictures about real life situations that actual Americans are in. And instead of talking about Hannibal Lecter will eat your cat. He'll eat you. They're bringing their asses over here and they'll eat your cat. They're hungry for our welfare and your cat. They'll eat our ducks. Our ducks. Ooh, it's Venezuela times 10. The blacks. Oh. Jar Jar, thanks for the 5. I appreciate you. Women likers mentioned. Pog, I am one. Oh no, how dare she know the answers and be able to respond to them in a way that people react well to. Why is everything in politics so unbelievably fake and gay? Yeah, it's over for you guys. It's over. Mike Cernovich too. If you like Harris, tonight was good for you. Is that how you're going to spin the fact that how Dementia Dawn, that rotting orange, fumbled, spat, and slurred, and his brain blew up on stage when asked a simple question about after 9 years of running against Obamacare, do you finally have a plan for once in your entire life? And bro said, I have a concept of a plan. Dude, it's over. It's over. Hello, Voosh Raiders. Hello, Raiders. How are you doing? Yo, Raiders, hit the like button. If you Raiders, hit the like button if you think that Kamala Harris obliterated this guy, man. Wow. Wow. Mike Cernovich, too. Behind the lines, she's nervous about Pennsylvania. Fracking especially. Internal polling must be awful. What about Donald Trump randomly truthing in the middle of the night? My administration will be the best administration for women. They're not telling him. That's not them telling him that he's getting absolutely obliterated on the woman vote. Because if you take a look at the crosstabs, actually, Kamala Harris, compared to the 2020 exit polls, Kamala Harris, despite all the yap that you've heard, Kamala Harris is actually performing better than 2020 exit polls with men, and better with college non-white voters, and better with women as well. So men have moved to the left, women have moved to the left. Donald Trump's own base has even moved a little bit to the left. Like, yo, dude. Trump's campaign literally gave up campaigning in most every swing state except for Pennsylvania and Georgia and North Carolina. For some people who haven't seen, who don't know Donald Trump's game at the moment, let me pull up 270 to win for you, okay?
Based and red pilled?
Very based and very red pilled. Wait, thank you so much. Get friggin' slugged. I'm slugged right now. OMG, I'm so slugged. Let me pull up 270 to win for you. Don't mind this, okay? Where's the reset? Okay. Don't look at that. I was listen. A boy can dream, can he? Anyways, don't look at that. I want to take a look here at I'm just gonna be using safe here. All right. I'm just gonna be using safe here. So let's take a look at something, okay? So let's talk about Kamala Harris's plan at the moment, right? It's a normal Democrat plan, right? Nevada, the Rust Belt, she wins. Technically, she doesn't even need Nevada, honestly. The Rust Belt, and she wins. Carry every single state that she's already planning on winning by +5 points, plus the Rust Belt, and she wins. That's it. End of story, okay? Trump, at the moment, Jazor, thank you so much for the 3. I appreciate you. Favorite emote out for Jazor. For the 3 gifted. I appreciate you. Thanks so much for helping others join the frenzy. Being so incredibly pog. I appreciate you. Thank you. So that's her plan, right? 270, she wins. Easy. By the hair of her chinny chin chin, but she wins. And so Donald Trump thinks that he can lose Arizona. My bad. Oh, give me pink. Okay. So let me leave this, okay? So that's Kamala Harris's plan at the moment. And obviously she would like to sweep like this. This is, I think, the best case scenario for Kamala Harris at the moment. And probably ever, if we're going to be real with ourselves here. But the likelihood of that happening, I think, is low. But I don't know, maybe after this debate, maybe it's better than I thought. Here, let me do this. And Maine's, what is it? Is Maine at large? But it's one of these bullshit ones. It's one of these little bitches down here. Okay. Omaha as well. Okay. And so if we take a look at this map really quick, what's Donald Trump's plan? Okay. Let me show you. Bing, bing, bong. That's it. This is the plan. The plan is to only run up the gamut in Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, and he wins. And he won't need any other state. As long as he gets these 3 states, he wins. And his fundraising and his campaigning and his ad buys prove this, right? So let me see if I can Let me see if I can pull this back. Isn't he ahead in Arizona? He is. I'm just telling you his plan at the moment. His plan is to his plan is to run up the numbers in the biggest 3 battleground states and kind of forget about everything else, because technically he can lose. All right, he can lose everything else. He can lose Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, and Michigan. He can lose all of them, every single last one of them, and it wouldn't matter. He can lose Omaha, Nebraska. He could lose the entirety. He can't lose the entirety of Maine, but he can lose a lot on this map and still win. And so that's what he's doing right now. Okay, if you wonder where he's going, why he's not doing so much, why his campaign isn't spending so much in these other states, the reason is because he doesn't technically need to. In my personal opinion, what I think is happening is that they used to be able to see a pathway through this is where they thought the pathway was for them. Okay, this is what they were looking at. New Hampshire as well. They were looking at taking Virginia. They were looking at New Jersey as well, and Minnesota. This is what Donald Trump was looking at. This is what he thought that he could get, and he wasn't wrong. He was not wrong. Okay, he was not wrong. Remember, Hillary Clinton only won Virginia by 3 points. And Joe Biden was doing far worse than Hillary Clinton. Far worse than Hillary Clinton. And so now that the map has blown wide open, he's thinking to himself, man, what the hell am I going to do against Kamala Harris, right? Like, what is going to happen? And so his team decided to abandon it all. He is the man who left it all behind and focus on only what he needs to win. And this kind of proves it. The campaign spending. I was looking for this. I finally found it. The campaign spending. And we're just going to look at Trump's team, okay? $70 million in Pennsylvania. $38 million in Georgia. And you know, right after that, the funding falls off a cliff. He's spending $100 million in Pennsylvania and Georgia and no money elsewhere. Besides, like, if you look at Kamala Harris, $70 million in Pennsylvania, $30 million Georgia, $55 million Michigan, $34 million Arizona, $33 million Wisconsin, $26 million North Carolina, and $19 million in Nevada. And she's spending $7 million in Omaha, Nebraska, and Trump isn't spending a dime. And so people were wondering why he was doing that. And this is why. All he needs is these 3 states. Now, he's not spending money in North Carolina like he should, because what we saw earlier today, if you were paying attention, is that North Carolina, can I, RCP, I know they're going to start picking up the spending in North Carolina, because things are not looking too good for him anymore. Because the fact that he's not spending basically anything in North Carolina. $2 million only in ad buys and these are reservations for the rest of the campaign. These are he's spending $2.8 million for the next 2.5 months. That's it. Well, that's the reservations at the moment. Obviously, this could increase, but at the time that this was seen, this is all they were doing. And the fact that he's giving up on North Carolina is not good, because Kamala Harris is nipping at his heels. 2 polls dropped, Survey USA and Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac is ass, but Survey USA is good. Harris +3, almost hitting 50%. Him not spending a single dime in North Carolina could come back to bite him. I'm not saying that it's going to flip, but what I'm telling you is that he only won North Carolina by a single percentage point in 2020, and it's ripe for the flipping. It's ripe for the flipping. Let's be honest with ourselves. Okay? It's dangerous. This is dangerous for Donnie Boy. Because mind you, his plan is to run up the margins in the 3 biggest battleground states and basically neglect everywhere else. And even though it is a winning strategy, the problem is it's a delicate strategy. If Kamala Harris, oh, sorry, I forgot. My bad. I didn't mean to scare you. If Kamala Harris wins anything here, it's over. If she takes Georgia, she wins. If she takes North Carolina, she wins. If she takes Pennsylvania, she wins. If she gets anything, if she carries just one of the largest Rust Belt states, she wins. And that's just it. It's the high risk, high reward. He's going the glass cannon build. Okay? He's going the glass cannon build, and that's all he can do. Senior Pool, thank you so much for Senior Pool. Thank you so much for the tier 1 Bezos bucks. That's actually your own money. Sorry. Join the friends of being so incredibly pog. I appreciate you. Kamala got the 5 booms tonight. She really did. Red Cactus, thanks so much for the tier 1 as well. Feeling good. Yeah, well, we're feeling good. We're feeling good after this. Also, Strawberry, 5th super chat. Vane, thank you so much for the $5 for saying Nevada correctly. Always refreshing to hear. Thank you. And thanks for the 5. Thanks for the 20. Tell me if I'm mispronouncing your name, but Juris the Bear, thank you so much for the $20 tip. Kamala absolutely destroyed Trump. Thank you for the awesome coverage. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Hey, that means a lot. Thank you. I've been trying to keep up with everything for you all. I know you all have lives and things that you would like to do outside of this. So I'm glad that I can provide you anything. So thank you so much for thinking that this is worth a $20 tip. So I appreciate you. Thank you. Oh, and thank you again for the 50. Taylor Swift just endorsed Kamala. Did she? Did Taylor? Wait. For one, thank you so much for the 50. I really appreciate you for that. Favorite emote out for Bear for the 50. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. Thank you for the love. Thank you. I couldn't. Thank you. I couldn't even ask for 50. So I appreciate you for that. Thank you. Sorry. Ostatine, thank you so much for the tier 2 on the site. Join the frenzy, being so incredibly pog. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the tier 2. I was worried going into tonight, but she absolutely bodied him. I think she got some really good bodies. I can't lie. I think she really like just bashed him upside the head. Taylor Swift just endorsed Kamala. Oh, she saw the debate and she was like, I'm hopping in. Oh, the Swifties are here. She lost a little bit of clout after going to a football game with a rape apologist. But outside of the whole like hanging out with a rape apologist thing, Taylor Swift's got some pull. Like many of you, I watched the debate tonight. This is Taylor Swift. If you haven't already, now is a great time to do research on the issues at hand and the stances of these candidates. Stances that these candidates take on issues that matter to you most. As a voter, I make sure to watch and read everything I can about their proposed policies and plans for the country. Recently, I was made aware that AI of me falsely endorsing Donald Trump's presidential run was posted on this site. It really conjured up my fears about AI and the dangers of spreading misinformation. It brought me to the conclusion that I need to be very transparent about my actual plans for this election as a voter. The simplest way to combat misinformation is with the truth. I'll be casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in the 2024 presidential election. I'm voting for Kamala Harris because she fights for the rights and causes I believe in. So I believe need a warrior to champion them. I think she is steady-handed, gifted leader, and I believe we can accomplish so much more in this country if we were led by calm and not chaos. I was so heartened and impressed by her selection of Tim. She's a Walz head. She's going balls to the walls. Really? She was really a Walz head. Taylor Swift saw saw Shapiro and she was like, dump him. Wow. Can't believe she's anti-Semitic. Who's been standing up for LGBTQ plus rights, IVF, and a woman's right to her own body for decades. I've done my research. I've made my choice. Your research is all yours to do, and the choice is yours to make. I also want to say, especially for first-time voters, remember that in order to vote, you have to be registered. I also find it's much easier to vote early. I'll link. Oh, does she endorse Kamala Harris to the Swifties? Oh, she told them how to vote. Oh, she told them how to register. Oh no. Oh, she pumped up both Walz and Harris. Oh no. Remember earlier in the year how conservatives were coping by the fact that over the fact that Taylor Swift could hop into the race and turn things around by getting young women more activated. Already before Taylor Swift hopped into the race, young women's, like 18 to 29, young women's voter registration went through the roof. Now that T-Squiggle is on board too, sheesh, this could go crazy. This could go crazy for the people who weren't paying attention, because people don't want to pay attention to Donald Trump anymore. They hate that guy. But wow, she did such a good job. People are going to now watch this this debate specifically for oh man, dude, and the remember how we talked about if we talk about how Donald Trump was so crazy during the debate, Kamala Harris wins. If we're talking about Donald Trump, she wins. If we're talking about Harris, she loses. Now, obviously, there are some exceptions to that. Obviously, if people are talking about how good Harris did, then obviously that's good for Harris. But wow, she just endorsed Kamala. Can you imagine if they're on tour or something? That'd go crazy. That'd go so brazy. That'd be wild. Yeah. Bad night to be a conservative. Bad night to be a chud. Oh, chuds are falling. Look at her signature at the end, huh? Chuds are falling. With love and hope. Taylor Swift, childless cat lady. Oh, I didn't even look at that. You're so right. Oh, they're cooked. Oh, they're cooked. Earlier in the year, conservatives were like, well, Kamala Harris, my bad. Well, Joe Biden has Taylor Swift. We have cat turd. We have our shitty, our shitty, only appeals to shitty men, conservative weirdos on Twitter, while the Democrats have normal people and the normal people who normal people watch and enjoy.
Based and red pilled?
That is a childless cat lady. Bear, thank you so much for becoming a member as well. Thank you so much for that. Butterfly Killer, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for the tip. Thank you for the love. Thank you. But yeah, to finish this up, if Kamala Harris gets anything here, she wins. And the sad part about it for Trump is that she doesn't even need Nevada. She doesn't even need Nevada. She doesn't even need to take Nevada for that, honestly. So the race is very treacherous. Chain soda? Yeah, my bad, sorry. The race is very, I knew I was forgetting something, I just couldn't see it. The race is very treacherous. Here, now I can show you how the fact that she doesn't need Arizona or Nevada. I was like, this math ain't mathin'. I didn't want to say anything because I want to just continue my thought, but I was like that. I don't think it was right. But yeah, she doesn't need Nevada or Arizona. She doesn't need Georgia or North Carolina. She needs one of the big three, and she's closest to taking Pennsylvania, and she wins. But obviously, if she does this, if she runs the map on him, if she trounces him, oh my lord, oh, people are talking about Trump's neckussy. Oh, his little gizzard. Oh, they're talking about the grandpa gizzard. Oh, people, it's crazy how how old boy needs to tuck his neck in. He needs to tuck his neck into his shirt. Oh man. I'm glad people are talking about the neckussy. Chad, he's cooked. Oh no, my man's melting on stage. He's melted on stage. But yeah, that's what's going on at the moment. And I want to bring some more data up to you, because I feel like a lot of people have been hit with some bad news. And I want to show you that it's really not as bad as some people may be telling you that it is. There's some really good news for Kamala Harris in these recent numbers, even the numbers that seem not as good for her recently, like the New York Times Siena poll, which is still bad, right? It's not great. But her not losing ground that's much better. And that poll also did show her doing better on some things. So I want to show you this as well. It was put together by Adam Carson. Great. If you want to see some stuff about polling data going on in this election for the rest of the election cycle, follow this guy. He does great work. But he put together this list here, and it's really, really interesting. So some people haven't seen this, but take a look at this, right? So this is before Biden dropped out. This is after Biden dropped out and before the DNC. This is after Biden dropped out, before after the DNC and before the debate, right? And so if we take a look at this, okay, the total before Biden dropped out was the national environment was Trump plus 1.8. After he dropped out, it went to Harris plus 2.3. And after the DNC, it went to 3.1. She just keeps making gains and moving further away from Trump. Even now and this includes that New York Times Siena poll, that new one, right? With men, before Biden dropped out, it was Trump plus 11, but then it moved down to Trump plus 10. And now it's Trump plus 7. Remember how everybody was talking about Donald Trump's game in this election is to run up the numbers with men, is to get men to come up and vote for him. And it's working to some degree when it comes to at least the vibes of the situation. He's going on to those shitty comedian podcasts in like the Rogan sphere, but not on Rogan himself. He's talking to like Aiden Ross. You think he's talking to Aiden Ross for like the median voter? No, he's talking to Aiden Ross for like the shitty gamer right-wing Joe Rogan watching like NBA 2K playing like suburban wannabe black white boy. A wigger, some may say. Right? He's copping for the wigger vote. But he's on there to hopefully run up the numbers with men. And all of those, and everything that we've seen, and all of his operatives have been telling us that this is what he's been trying to do. Okay, my bad. Wigga vote. That's true. The ER that's their word. My bad. I'm sorry. Pardon me. Excusez-moi. But it's not working. It's only Trump plus 7.3. It's coming back down to earth, and it's really starting to not look as good for him. And this is some of the reason for why. Before Biden dropped out, it was Harris plus 6.9 with women, and it's gone up to 11. It was at 13, but it's been hovering up and down, right? She's improved with white voters. She's improved with the black voters. And remember, back in 2020, some people forget, back in 2020, at this point in time of the race, there were still polls with Biden and Harris where Biden was only taking 60, 70, 80% of the black vote. And it was showing that that Trump was taking like 20, 15, 13. Some of you remember how conservatives kept talking about this is the time when blacks will leave the plantation and come over to our prettier, cooler plantation. That's even more privately owned. They'll come working for our plantation. It's great. I promise you, it's going to be fantastic. But it turned out that Biden and Harris won the black vote by the amount that we normally see Democrats taking, the high 80s, low 90s. The Hispanic vote has come back. The 18 to 29 vote has come back, 9-point shift, plus 65 as well, 4-point shift. A Democrat leaners as well, almost a 10-point shift in her direction. Independents as well, an 8-point shift in her direction. She's lost Republican leaners. It is by about a point. Biden 2020 voters have come home almost as much as Biden 2020 voters have come home, 7-point improvement, closing in on Trump's numbers, running with about parity with Trump numbers there. And the suburban vote, the all important suburban vote with so many childless cat ladies, went from Trump plus 6 to an almost 10-point shift of Harris plus 8.8. Harris has made some great improvements on Donald Trump and has incredibly changed. When people say the race has changed, this is what they mean about it. This is what they mean when they say the race has changed. This is the map of just the margins, okay, of how things have changed. This is what people mean when they say the race has changed, okay? And this debate isn't going to move this in Donald Trump's direction. No matter what Piers Morgan and the other conservative weirdos believed, Trump got crushed. He got squished like a bug. And oh dude, I'm really excited to see what some of these polls look like after this. Yeah, this is going crazy. Oh no, there's some of the conservative poll nerds have been sent reeling. They've been sent reeling because of this. Not once did Trump tell the American public during a layup that Harris was in the lie about Biden's mental state of mind. Oh no, he forgot his own talking points mid-debate. Yo, dude. Oh, this is how we felt. This is how we felt when Biden fumbled that abortion question. How's it feel? How's it feel to be stuck with a geriatric brain-addled dementia don? How's it feel? It doesn't feel too good now, does it? Oh, now you try justifying your octogenarian candidate for getting everything and slurring on stage. Oh, the day ain't feel too good now, does it? Go ahead, little boy. Spin, run those little legs, spin. Go ahead, go run interference for him. He needs it. Oh, grandpa needs it. Go ahead. Oh, scurry along, little boy. Scurry along. Oh, no. The pile-on against Trump is so bad. And this will totally backfire. Everybody will see that they're so mean to Donald Trump. The American people hate it when they're mean to Donald Trump. Nobody wants to see anybody mean to Donald Trump. They love Donald Trump. He's America's victim. He took a bullet for us. 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 Oh, dude, you forgot. Oh, he didn't even bring up the shooting, really. Oh, he didn't even mention. Oh, Corey Compatore, he forgot his fucking name. He already forgot his name. He didn't bring it up. He didn't bring up the volunteer fireman who lost his life in that terrible shooting. He can't even hit his own talking points right anymore. He brought up himself. He forgot about the guys who got shot. Oh, it's over, dude. No, you hope it will backfire. They're coming to the realization. Gosh. Our geriatric candidate, they can't hold up against the Cocomentum. Kamala-mentum. Just when they said the honeymoon was over, bring that shit right back. Oh, bring it right. Jackpot. Bring it right back. Oh, they tried to take the Kamala-mentum. They tried to take away the honeymoon. Bring the honeymoon right back. Oh, we live in the land of milk and honey. Coconut milk and honey now. Sheesh. Put it on. Oh, it feels so good on my skin. It's moisturizing. It's moisturizing. Who fucking cares? Trump is doing fine. Stop being a sissy. It's so true. So true. See, he did fine. He's doing fine. He's totally gonna. You don't even have to vote. You don't even have to vote. He's totally gonna win. He's gonna crush. He's crushing them already. Honestly, he didn't even need to show up. Puffle Cake, thanks so much for the tier 3 subscription. Always glad to be back, and I'm incredibly happy to have you. It's been so nice to see you all again. I'm glad to be back to streaming. I love you all. Very parasocially, just so you know. I love you all in an incredibly parasocial way. Rich, tonight you sound like the anti-Trump trolls. No, you're wrong. Everybody that I know said that Donald Trump epically owned Kamala Harris. He epically owned her. Owned. It's already backfiring. I usually agree with you, but you're dead wrong with this. She looks really bad. She looks really bad. Really bad. Independent voters are gonna come away thinking she's a bitch. Okay, yeah. This is why you lose. Okay? This is why women don't like you. This is why women don't like you. Childless cat ladies, Kamala's a bitch. Yeah, you're done. You're done, buddy. I hope the Aiden Ross voters can carry you. I hope their weed-addled minds. I hope while they're drugged out, barefoot, sitting in their room with dishes that haven't seen the sink in a year, remember to come out to vote for Donald Trump because they remember that really cool stream that Aiden Ross did with Trump where he gifted him a Cybertruck and then took it back. Oh, I hope they come out to vote for the boy. I hope so for you, for your sake, buddy. You underestimate the reaction to her. You underestimate how much we fucking hate women. America just got reminded or learned how incredibly unlikable she is. Everyone already knows Trump and have decided that a long time ago. Yeah, but like you can hate him more. You ever think about that? There are days where my hate for Donald Trump grows stronger. Yes, I hate him, but I could always the deep pits of hatred I have for that man could always get deeper. And you know what? That smoldering pit, okay, that brings me life because I'm the Eshin one, can drive a lot of people to, instead of just voting for, you can take them to maybe volunteering or phone banking or door knocking or donating or making sure they bring friends to the polls, all the things that you could do. Or calling their cousins or in-laws who live in a swing state, if they don't, to make sure that they go out and vote. That's what I did with my family when that's in Georgia. And I'll be doing that to my family again. That's in Georgia and North Carolina to make sure they go out and vote. It's important. Make sure to walk Tua to the polls. Make sure to walk Tua the polls. Oh, please. Oh, baby Gronk's gonna love this one. Oh, man. Seems many of you do not understand. It doesn't matter what you think, and it matters what they think. The normies. Did the 52% of undecided learn anything about her policies than before? Yeah, actually, probably. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Probably. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Probably. Yeah. I learned that Donald Trump has after 9 years of running for the presidency has an idea about fixing the healthcare system he says that he's going to fix and is broken. He has concepts for an idea for a plan to fix our healthcare system, and we're going to do it, and we're going to do it really big and really great. But tonight seems like your analysis is less about what we think or they think, but how you think you would micromanage the campaign based on your own aesthetic notions. People hate you and Donald Trump. You ever think about that? How everybody hates you and Donald Trump? They hate you. We hate you. We hate you. You're not built different. You are different. You're weird. Goofball. We don't like you. Bring in your bullied at school ass to the function. Nobody wants to hear it. Nobody likes you or Donald Trump. You're done. You're done. You're done. Chatter. 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 Look at what's trending on Twitter. Number one on trending on Twitter, cooked. Oh, who said it? Oh, many people are saying this. They come to me and they say, Shark, he's cooked. There's no way he could be more cooked. They come to me and they say, Shark, this guy is done. He's finished, flame broiled. They're cooked. They've invented new ways to cook. He's so cooked. They come to me and they say, streamer, my streamer, sir. Are you ready for Madam President? Are you ready for Madam? They come to me and they say, sir, I've never seen a man so cooked. Cooked. Madam President, Springfield Abdul, the CNN. Oh, you know, this is people saying the CNN debate. The CNN debate was way worse than this. Fact check. They're eating the dogs. Concepts of a plan. Fired by 81. Laura Loomer, let her cook. Father God, I've seen what you've done for us. I've seen, they say you work in mysterious ways, but I have never been more cognizant of your hand in my entire life. Father God, this felt like a biblical moment. I've seen what you've done for us, and I couldn't be happier to know that you are the Lord of Lords, the King of Kings. Your mercy is boundless, and your glory is unspeakable. In your name we pray, amen. In your name we pray, amen. You just got coconut mauled. She did it. She did it. We did it, chat. For that orange fuck, it was like 15 9/11s. Oh, he's going down like a Boeing. We did it, chat. We got Biden out. We got Kamala in. We juiced that orange. Oh man. Oh, hey, babe. Hey. Hey. How you doing, girl? You're tired. Did you watch any of the debate? I don't want you to see a murder. She killed him. She killed him. She did what Thomas Crooks couldn't. She did what that shooter couldn't. She did what that shooter couldn't. She picked up where he left off. She finished the job. He is not leaving. He is not leaving. It happened in Pennsylvania too. He is not leaving Pennsylvania unwounded. Oh, you know, like in a game when the screen gets covered in blood when you're low health, heartbeat. He's dead. This is how I'm going to be reading the morning news tomorrow. This is how I'm going to be reading the morning news tomorrow. And the cherry on top is the Taylor Swift endorsement. Illegal Pants, thanks so much for the tier 1, for joining the frenzy and being incredibly pog. I appreciate you. Oh. Blue wave imminent. Blue wave imminent. All right, chat. Well, that was the debate. That was the debate. We debated. They debated hard. I'm going to tell you there is a zero. I'm not a betting man, but I would bet that there is a 0% chance that Trump agrees to another debate. It is. You know, there's no way he's doing it. There is no way, no how he's agreeing to another one, dude. He is finished. There is no way he's going to accept another one after that. Because you know the next one's going to be like no muted mics. Oh, she could. Oh, she dog walked that. She walked him like a dog. Like a dog. He got baited like 1-2. She shook the treat bag, and that was talking about his rallies, and he started fuming. He started fuming. What is this?
And remember this. She is Biden.
We can't lie. Kamala Harris has not released her birth certificate proving that she is not Joe Biden. It's very possible. What did he know? What does he know that we don't? What does he know that we don't? Don't hide. Don't hide. I'll be coming for you soon, don't worry. Chad, did you see The Onion? Chad, did you see The Onion? Fact check. Trump, people don't leave my rallies. True, they're carried out in body bags. Oh my gosh. Wrong. They leave in body bags. Yo. Oh no. Oh no. What the actual fuck? Do you have no respect? These Democrats are so mean. Oh, I love the fact that finally we can bully conservatives. We can bully them. We can bully them. We can laugh at them. We can shit on them. And it feels so good. We can just bully them. We can treat them like they're dirt. Comedy is now illegal. Comedy is now finally there's comedy. Wait, this one is really funny. Wait, this one's hilarious. They're doing transgender surgeries on illegal aliens. Ooh. You get a new place. What happened to the aquarium? That is the wall that I used to that my desk was against, that I used to stream from. But above me was a leak, and so they're going to have to do work there. And so I moved this to the other side of the wall. So where you saw the aquarium and all the and all like the posters on the wall, they're just behind my computer now. That was kind of crazy, right? He said they're doing transgender surgeries on illegal aliens in jail. This is a riff on, I'm not sure if you saw this, but when he was at the New York Economic Forum, he said that the Democrats are now doing transgender surgeries on kids in school. He said that Americans are now sending their kids to school for days on end, and then the kids come back with transgender surgeries. And he wants to put a stop to it. It's even worse than the it's even worse than the like cats, like the like litter boxes in school bathrooms for the kids who identify as cats story. They're doing transgender surgeries on kids at school. They're doing transgenderism surgeries on illegal aliens in jail.
Based and red pilled?
So Ren, thank you so much for the $5. I really appreciate you for the $5 tip. Conservatives be like, we want to subjugate 60% of you, but please, please don't be mean to us. Okay? Hey, listen, wait. You did hear him when he said that he's got your head, your heart, and every other part of your body, right? You did hear him when he said that, right? Every part? Every part. He's got your balls too. He's got it.
And as you deserve, a president who respects you, talks to you, and who levels with you, puts it right on the level, and who always has your best interests and has your back. I have your back, I have your heart, and I have every other part of your body. And as you,
I don't. Can you let go? Can you please let go?
I have your back, I have your heart, and I have every other part of your body.
You know they were like, I have no. They're clapping, but they have no clue what the hell that man just said. Look how sweaty he is when he says it too. It's so scary. Nasty bitch.
Your back. I have your back, I have your heart, and I have every other part of your body.
Okay. Got my man sweating through that suit like crazy. I wish. Well, also, thank you everybody for the donations and the tips today. This money is going to be going to me purchasing the limited edition Trump trading card with a sweat-soaked piece of his knockout suit. They're calling it the knockout suit from when he debated Joe Biden. So I can hang it up on a gold diamond encrusted Cuban link chain and walk around with it. I can have a piece of our amazing former and future president. Thank you so much for the 50 bits. Nitros 420. Speaking of, gotta go. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I have your back, I have your heart, and I have every other part of your body. What happened? Wait, chat. We're getting information about what happened during the second commercial break. The second stage hand said that we were clear for a 4-minute break. Trump turned towards the exit, gave a big sigh through his closed lips, and walked off stage without looking at Harris. From the time the moderators announced that they were going on break, Harris began writing on her notepad. She wrote continuously for the entire first 2 minutes of the break, occasionally bringing one hand to her chin and brushing her hair behind her ear. Not her girl bossing behind the stage. No choice but to stand? What the hell? Why'd she gag him like that? Hello? Cuntagon? She was really locked in, I can't lie. She was taking this seriously. She then reviewed what she wrote for the next minute, making few tweaks before putting the pen down and looking out around the room with her hands folded in front of her. She took a sip of water from the glass placed at her lectern. Trump walked back on stage 30 seconds before the end of the break. He did not look at Harris. She did not look at him. Harris made small adjustments to her collar. Both candidates looked straight ahead until the program started. Again, no words were spoken. That's kind of wild. Why is she so Giga Chad? Why is she such a Giga Chad? What the hell? Wait, she actually mogged on him? Wait, she actually mogged on Donald Trump. I told you people wanted to see him get smacked upside the head, and I think this is... He was mogged on. Bro was actually... Owarida. And his little dick microphone, too. That shit looked like a dildo. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. She is woman Giga Chad. What the hell? Yeah, and his little dildo mic. Oh no. I guess I'll leave off with this, right? Y'all remember what Nikki Haley said after Joe Biden remember what Nikki Haley said before Joe Biden left the race and while she was still running against Trump? She said the first party to drop their octogenarian geriatric candidate wins the race. Thank you all for watching tonight. I appreciate you so much. It's been such a fun night. I'll be back again tomorrow I want to talk about the migrants eating birds and cats story. I want to talk about and the Aurora, Colorado one too. Wrap that up like as well, because that is just like the insane like racism coming from conservatives is wild. We still need. I didn't talk about the Russian operatives, and I do want to talk about that. Keep up with the channel. We're going to be uploading the segment about RFK Jr. Tomorrow, and we're going to be uploading the segment about Candace Owens' connection with Andrew Tate and how far she's fallen to the point that even neo-Nazis are starting to distance themselves from her. That was also wild too, that we need to upload that. We have a segment going up soon as well about women's rights under Donald Trump. Don't worry, I didn't miss the donos. I want to finish this first. Under Donald Trump and in Republican states, and what Republicans' plans are for women and their reproductive rights, and why they believe in controlling women's bodies so fastidiously. Thank you so much, Sake Tanuki, for the 5 gifted. Hoping others be incredibly pog. Congratulations, freeloaders. Tell Sake Tanuki that you appreciate the fact that you can now freeload off of their kindness and generosity. Okay? Make sure to thank them. Make sure to thank them. It's very important. It's very, very important. Thank you, everybody who subscribed, who's become a member, who's liked the stream, who's tipped, who's been here, who's chatted, who's just enjoyed the stream. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for watching. And I hope to have you back for another meme stream. Have a good one.